Hello everyone, welcome to this session. I've just solved this NEET test 77 and here's the physics analysis. It's about 4 a.m. right now. So in this paper I have regarded 2 as tough only because of calculations, otherwise they are not as tough conceptually. 21 were easy, 22 were medium. So the paper was overall not a tough one. So slightly some calculations was there, but I'll regard it as an easy paper. So I'll say anyone who is doing decent enough in physics should get 135, 140 plus. And for very good students it should be 165 plus paper for sure. So first question, if an electron and a proton have the same de Broglie wavelength, then the kinetic energy of the electron is, so you know de Broglie wavelength is h upon mv, you write it as h upon root 2 mk. So they have same, so if lambda is same means m into k is same. So clearly kinetic energy will be inverse to mass in this case. So definitely electron will have more than that of proton. Go for option C. Next. When an electron jumps from a higher energy state to a lower energy state with an energy difference of delta E, then the wavelength of the spectral line emitted is, okay. So you can directly say jumps from a higher to a lower. So we can directly say delta E is the energy difference, that would be equal to hc by lambda. So lambda would be equal to hc upon delta E, that is in electron volt, you know that is 1240 approximately eV nanometer upon delta E in eV. So that is 1240 upon delta E nanometer. So going by this option, or 12375, it would be 1237.5. So 12375 means it would be in angstrom. So we'll go for option D here. Next. A 10 kg mass traveling 2 meter per second meets and collides elastically with a 2 kg mass traveling at 4. Okay, 10 was 2, 2 was at 4 in the opposite direction. Find the final velocities. So what you will have, this is 2 meter per second, this is 10 kg, this is 2 kg, 4 meter per second. So taking this direction as positive and directly using the result that we know, what we can say, let's say V1, let it be 2. So V1 you directly know as M1 minus M2 upon M1 plus M2 into U1, and you write it as plus 2M2 U2 upon M1 plus M2. So that is the formula that you remember for this particular thing. So it comes out as 10 minus 2, that is 8 upon 12 into 2 plus 2 into 2 upon 12 into minus 4. Okay, so it comes out as 16 by 12 minus this comes out as 8 is 16 by 12. Okay, so this means it comes to rest. So VA final is 0, so upon that only you can go for option B here. You can similarly solve for VB final. Okay, next one. Two bodies of mass 6 and 4 kg respectively have velocity this and this, the velocity of CMS. So directly you write VCM as M1 V1, that is 6 into 5 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 10 k cap plus 4 into 10 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 5 k cap divided by total mass, which is, you can write it as 10. So what we have in the above, 6 5s are 30, 4 10s are 40. So there is 30 and 40, that is 70 I cap minus 12 minus 8 minus 20 j cap 60, and this is 20, that is 80 k cap by 10. So it is 7 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 8 k cap. So going by the option, it comes out as option C. Now next, stone of 0.3 kg mass attached to a 1.5 meter long string is whirled in a horizontal circle at a speed of 6. The tension in the string is, because it is a horizontal circle, the tension is the only force providing centripetal force, that is tension would be equal to mv square by r, which is L. So 0.3 into v square would be 36 upon 1.5. So this comes out as 1.5. If you have this is 1.5 to 24, it would be, so 24 into 0.3, that is 7.2 newtons. So we'll go for option C here. Next, a wheel which is initially at rest is subjected to a constant angular acceleration. It rotates by an angle 15 degree in t seconds. The increase in angle through which it rotates in the next 2 t seconds will be. So what we have, but it starts from rest, so from 0 to t, 0 to t, I can say that angle covered delta theta would be equals to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. So that was 0. So that is half into alpha into t square. That was equals to 15 degree first. Now if I take from 0 to 3t complete, that would be 15 degree plus theta additional that I am talking about. Again 0 plus half alpha into 3t whole square. So what we have, 15 degree plus this theta additional. This is, you can directly write as 9 times half alpha t square. From first equation it is 9 into 15 degree. So that theta additional you can directly go for, that is 8 into 15 degrees, and 15 8 is 120 degrees. So go for option B here. So again an easy one, you just be careful about the data. Next, you have a non-conducting ring of radius r, charge q distributed uniformly over it. If it rotates with an angular velocity omega, then the equivalent current, you directly say equivalent current would be qf, and f would be equals to q omega by 2 pi. So it's simply q omega by 2 pi. Go for option A. Next, the length of a wire of potentiometer is 100 and the EMF is E. It is employed to measure the EMF of battery whose internal resistance is 0.5. If balance point is obtained at 30 from the positive end, the EMF of the battery is, you can directly say the EMF of the battery is would be equals to, you can say x into L, and what is x? X would be VAB, which is E by 100 into L. L is what you have, that is 30. So simply it is 30 E by 100. This internal resistance has no role because no current is drawn from the secondary cell at the balance point. Next, a conducting wheel in which there are 4 rods of length 25 cm as shown is rotating with constant angular speed 20 in a uniform field 8. The induced potential difference between its center and rim. So you know it will basically be 4 batteries, 1 2 3 4, and all 4 will be in parallel. So E equivalent will be same as a single E, and that you know, just remember, you all remember this formula also. This length is L, this would be B omega r square by 2. You have derived it many times. So directly B omega r square by 2, that is 8 into 20. R square is 1 by 4 whole square by 2. That is 160 into 1 by 32. That comes out as 5 volts. So we can go for option B, and here B, both are B. So which B to select, I don't know. B and D both are correct, both are 5 volts. Next, you have radii of 2 conducting circular loops B and A. B greater than A, center of both coincide but the plane of both loops are normal to each other. Okay, so plane of both the loops are normal to each other. So they are conducting loops, centers coincide. So one is, let's say this one, let's say is B, and let's say this one is A, perpendicular to it. Both have the same center. The value of mutual inductance, you know, just imagine, if you, let's say, imagine the current in it, what you will have, the magnetic field at the center, you know, will be like this, while the area of this one is this. So the flux in A because of B is going to be 0. So mutual inductance will also going to be 0. So next, 3 identical metal plates of area A at a distance d1 and d2 from each other. Metal plate A is uncharged, okay, while plate B and C have charges plus Q and minus Q. If a metal plate A and B, C are connected by a switch K through a consumer of unknown resistance, okay, what energy does the consumer give out to its surroundings? Okay, so what we have, only B and C were there, and now we have A also connected to C. So when we have A also connected to C, what we can have now, as soon as I connect it, these two will become same. So this will be basically a capacitor between B and A, a capacitor between B and C. So both will be in parallel. So basically capacitance will double out. Capacitance will basically double out, or you can directly say the charge will be divided equally. So it would be Q by 2 here, Q by 2 here, minus Q by 2 here, minus Q by 2 here. That would be the distribution. So what energy does the consumer give out to its surroundings? So what we can have, initial energy that we have is halves, or you can write it as Q square by 2C initial, which is Q square by 2C was epsilon naught A upon this distance was what we have. A are at a distance d1 and d2 are each other. What is d1 and d2? I cannot get it from here. What is d1 and d2? Because it is given, okay, it is same, so no issue. Epsilon naught a by d, so q square d by 2 epsilon naught. Finally, what we will have, finally we have charge q by 2 on both, so I can write q by 2 whole square by 2c into 2, because there are 2, so it will basically be ui by 2, that you can write as q square d upon 4 epsilon naught a. So therefore the energy loss or delta u loss that would be consumed through this resistance, that would be difference of the, that would be q square d upon 4 epsilon naught a. Go for option A. So it's a nice one, good question it was. Next, in the given circuit diagram, find the heat generated on closing the switch S. Okay, so heat generated again, like the above one, initially these two were in series, so initially C equivalent was 2 into 3, that is 6 by 5C. So what we had, initial energy is half 6 by 5C V square. Now this C comes in parallel, so new C equivalent dash would be 6 by 5C plus C, that is 11 by 11C by 5. So final energy would be half 11C by 5 into V square. So heat generated, if I talk about, so heat generated on closing the switch S, so heat generated would be U final minus U initial, that would be half, what we have, CV square by 5 common, 11 minus 6 would be equals to 5, that is half CV square. Now this is the energy that is being increased, so heat generated, so we will go for that equation that you remember. This is a very important one. W battery is delta U plus H, so delta U is positive, H we have to solve, and battery. So for the battery, what we can say, initial charge was 6 by 5 CV drawn, the additional would be 11 by 5 CV, so additional charge is CV that flows through it, so the work done by battery would be CV square, so therefore H would be equals to half CV square. So it's a nice one, go for option C now. Next, what we have, a small planet is revolving around very massive star in a circular orbit of radius r with a period t. If the gravitational force is proportional to r to the power minus 5 by t, then t will be proportional to. So you know, in general you say t square proportional to r cube, because we take f to be inverse to r square, and there are many questions that you have done where you have directly remember that t square would be proportional to r to the power n plus 1 if this was n. So here n is 5 by 2, so t square would be proportional to r to the power 5 by 2 plus 1, that is 7 by 2, so t is proportional to r to the power 7 by 4. So going by that, you can go for this. And to derive this is also an interesting thing. You can directly say forces k upon r ki power 5 by 2, that is equal to m omega square. Omega is 2 pi by t whole square into r. So from here you can get that. Next, if the value of acceleration due to gravity small g on the earth's surface is this, its value at the center of the earth, you know center of the earth is 0. This is asked many times in different NTA tests now. Next, two rods of same length, same diameter, thermal conductivity in ratio 2:3 joined end to end. If temperature at one end of P is 100 and the other end of Q is 100, then the temperature of the interface is okay. So you have like this, I can draw like this. This one is P, this one is Q, this one is 100, this one is 0. So first of all, I can say R of P upon R of Q, that is L upon K. So L is same, A is same, so it would be inverse to K. R of P upon R of Q would be equal to KQ upon KP. That comes out as 3:2. So let's say this is 3R, this is 2R. So drop would be 3:2. That means here the drop total is 100. 3:2 means here the drop will be of 60 degree, here the drop will be of 40 degree. So 60 drop, that means this temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. So the interface temperature is going to be 40 degrees Celsius. Next, the PT diagram is shown in the diagram. Choose the correct VT diagram. Okay, so first of all, A to B temperature is constant. Okay, in option A it is constant, and temperature is decreasing. Pressure is temperature is constant, pressure is decreasing, therefore volume should be increasing, so it is wrong. So first one I can say this is wrong, second one is okay, third one is okay, fourth one is okay. Now B to C, volume is constant I can say, and pressure temperature both are increasing, so this one is wrong. So A and B are wrong. Now we are left with C and D. Now the last one, C to D, Temperature is constant, again pressure is decreasing, so that means volume will be increasing. Volume will be increasing means this option is D, not the C1. So we'll go for option D here. Next, an ideal gas is expanding such that Pt square is constant. Okay, if Pt square is constant, the coefficient of volume expansion of the gas is. So what is the coefficient of volume expansion of the gas? So first of all, convert this P into T thing. So P, I can write it as nRT by V into T square is constant. So basically V is proportional to T cube, that is what you are getting. Now coefficient of volume expansion. So coefficient of volume expansion you know is gamma. Gamma is said to be 1 upon dt into dV by V. That is what you write, or 1 upon V dV by dt. Now to find this, this thing, what I can write, V t to the power minus 3 is constant. So differentiating with respect to t, V into minus 3 upon t to the power 4 plus t to the power minus 3 into dV by dt equal to 0. So from here, if you solve it, dV by dt comes out as what we can again say it is 3V by t. So here it comes out as 3 by t, so gamma is 3 by t. So go for option C, that is the appropriate one here. So it's a nice one. You need to remember what is gamma. Next, magnetic needle lying parallel to the magnetic field requires W unit of work to turn it by 45 degree. Torque required to maintain the needle in this position will be. So to turn it by 45 degree, W required would be U final minus U initial. U final would be minus what you can say mu b cos 45, minus minus will become plus mu b cos 0. So that is mu b 1 minus 1 by root 2. Now torque required would be equal to mu b sin theta, which you can write as mu b by root 2. So what you have required, what is the value of tau? So divided tau by W, that would be 1 upon root 2 upon 1 minus 1 by root 2, that comes out as 1 upon root 2 minus 1. So tau is equal to W upon root 2 minus 1. So going by this option, this will be D. Next, two particles A and B of masses ma and b respectively having the same charge are moving in a plane. Uniform field exists normal to this plane. The speeds of the particle are Va and Vb respectively, and the trajectories are as shown then. So their masses are given and they have the same charge, okay, and uniform field. Speeds are Va and Vb, then trajectories are as shown. So first of all, what we know, the radius is mv by qb. So q and b are same. Clearly r of a is greater than r of b. That means MAVA is definitely going to be greater than MBVB. So go for option A. So again an easy one. Next, a coil of radius 10 centimeter, 100 turns carries a current 1 ampere. What is the magnetic moment? You directly know mu is equals to, or mu, whatever you write is NIA. So 100 into 1 into pi into r square, that is 1 by 10 whole square in meters. So it comes out as pi. So it is pi means 3.142 ampere meter square. Next, ball is dropped on a floor and bounces back to a height somewhat less than the original height. The curve which depicts its motion correctly between y and t. Because it is dropped, it would be parabolic. Y is half gt square, so it cannot be like this. It can be like this. So this could be possible. C is not possible. D is not possible because it will jump again. So it will be B again. Next, the range of a projectile when launched at an angle of 15 degree with horizontal is 1.5. What would be the range when it is launched with 45 degrees? So you know, in the first case, R15 is u square sine 2 theta, that is sine 30 by g, and R45 is max, you know, is u square by g. So divided, so R15 into R45, that would be sine 30. Sine 30 is 1 by 2. So R45 degrees twice, that is 3 kilometers. So go for option C. Again an easy one for you. The normal reaction in a body placed in lift moving up with acceleration 2 meter per second square is. So when lift is moving up, we say n is equal to mg plus a, because it needs more force to be accelerated upwards. So it is 120 would be equal to m into 10 plus 2 is 12. So m comes out as 10 kg. So we'll go for option A here. Next, conveyor belt is moving at a speed of 2. Box is gently dropped. Friction coefficient is 0.5. Distance the box will move relative to belt before coming to rest. So this is again we have done. So what you will write, u of box relative to belt would be equal to negative because it is at rest, belt is moving. So with respect to belt it is going and backwards with 2. acceleration of box with respect to belt because of friction will act forward, that would be equal to Fk by m, that is mu k mg by m, that is mu kg, that is 5 meter per second square. Finally, when slipping stops, v of box with respect to belt is 0, so displacement of box with respect to belt you need to find out. So apply the third equation, that would be 0 square is minus 2 square plus 2 into 5 into delta x of box with respect to belt. So displacement of box with respect to belt would be in backward direction, so it would be negative, so it would be minus of 4 by 10, so it comes out as 0.4. We have to just check the distance, so it is 0.4 meters. Next, for the following fusion reaction takes place, okay, if 2 kg of this is subjected to above reaction, the energy release is used to light a 100-watt lamp. How long will the lamp glow? So again, it's calculation basically. So what you will have, 2A1 gives this, so basically you can say approximately 4U mass gives 3.27 MeV. So 4U mass gives this, so what would be the 4 gram will give you? 4 gram will give you 3.27 into NaMV. Na is Avogadro number, so 1 kg will give you 3.27 into 6 into 10 to the power 23 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 13 upon what you can say, this is 4 into 10 to the power 3, that one's in joules. So this is the energy that is going to be liberated. So if I do this, this is 0.4, 6 into 0.4, 2.4 into 3.27 into, if you do this 10 to the power, it will come out as 13 joule. Now 100-watt lamp, so that is power into time, so time would be 2.4 into 3.27 into 10 to the power 13 upon 100, that much seconds, so that is 2.4 into 3.27 into 10 to the power 11 seconds. Now what is a second to year? So year, you know, 1 year is 365 days, 1 day has 24 hours, 1 hour has 3600 seconds. So approximately, if I do this, I have to just check the power, nothing else. So it's this is 10 to the power 3, I take 3.6, 10 to the power 4, 10 to the power 6, so it becomes 10 to the power 5 into 2.4 into 3.27, and what we have here, 3.65 into 2.4 into 3.6. So approximately, if I do these two factors, approximately, let's say, cancel out, but it would be 1 upon something, so the power would be 10 to the power 4 from here. So 5 into 10 to the power 4 years is the appropriate one from the powers checking. Next, in a nuclear reactor, uranium undergoes fission liberating 200 MeV energy and 10% efficiency is only there and produces this much of the power. If the reactor is to function for 10 years, what mass of the uranium is required? Again, giving options like this is a crime, but they have done, let me try it now. So 10% efficiency, this is the output power, so input power I can say is 10 times of this, that would be 1000 megawatt, that is 10,000, 10 to the power 4 mega means 10 to the power 6 joule per second. So in 10 years the input energy would be 10 to the power 4 into 10 to the power 6 into 10 into 365 into 24 into 3600 joules. So this is what we require. Now fission liberates 200 MeV, that means 235 gram will give you 200 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 13 into 6 into 10 to the power 23, because this is of one nucleus. Gram conversion had Na factor. So what we'll have, this is what we can say, 1 kg will give you 200 upon 235 into 10 to the power 3 into 1.6 into 6 into 10 to the power 10. So now the mass required would be this divided by this. So what we have, this is 10 to the power 10 or 11 or 13. So it is 10 to the power 13, I should write, into 365 into 24 into 36 divided by 200 by 235 into 1.6 into 6, which is 9.6 into 10 to the power 13. So we get it something like this. So it's 365 into 24 into 36 into 235 upon 9.6 into 200. So if you do this calculation, you are very smart enough and you would be able to make out if it is 38470 or 38490. So it's no point in giving it. If you do it, it comes out as 38470 kg as per this. But again, I'll say such close options should not be there, because I can't see These are not perfect factors which you can directly cancel up. So whatever it is, you will go for it. You have no, you can do this. This 9.6 and 24, we have 24 4s, so this is 0.4. So this is 0.4. So now you can do that calculations and all. 0.4, this will come out as 90. So 235 into 90 into 365 by 2, you can do the complete calculation now. So it comes out approx as 38470 kg. Next, the ratio of kinetic energy at mean position to potential at a by 2 of a particle performing SHM. Again, it is a repeated one. K at mean, you know, is complete energy, half m omega square a square, and u at a by 2 would be equals to half kx square, that is half m omega square a square, that is a square by 4. So this ratio is 4:1. You can go for option B. So option B is the appropriate one. Next, the amplitude of a simple pendulum is 10 when the pendulum is a displacement 4 from the mean. The ratio of kinetic and potential, again the similar thing. So kinetic would be, you know, half m omega square a square minus x square, u is half m omega square a square. So this ratio comes out as a square minus x square by x square, that is 10 square minus 4 square upon 4 square, that is 100 minus 16 by 16. So this is 84 by 16. So this would be 5 point something, 5.25 to be precise. So I'll go for option A. Next, which of the following figures represents a variation of momentum and associated wavelength? So lambda is 1 by p inverse to p. So inverse graph, you know, this is only d1, that is correct. So that's an easy one. Hyperrectangular hyperbola you have to find now. Two identical metal plates show the photoelectric effect by lambda 1 on plate 1, lambda 2 on plate 2, lambda 1 is 2, lambda 2, then the relation between kinetic energies will be. So what we have in the first case, k1 would be hc, k1 max, it should be hc by lambda 1 minus 5, k2 would be hc by lambda 2 minus 5, and lambda 2 is lambda 1 of lambda 1 by 2, so that becomes 2 hc lambda 1 minus 5. So what I can say, k2 upon k1 is 2 hc by lambda 1 minus 5 upon hc by lambda 1 minus 5, and definitely it is greater than 2 hc by lambda 1 minus 2 5 upon hc by lambda 1 minus 5. So definitely k2 by k1 you can make it out is greater than 2. So k2 is greater than twice of k1. This is a very, very interesting question asked many times in many examinations. Next, a stream of non-viscous liquid emerges from a very short outlet tube at the base of a large open tank. Okay, in which depth is h? The tube is at a fixed angle theta to the ground. The maximum height is, you know, the liquid leaves almost normally. So the initial velocity, you know, is equal to root 2gh at an angle theta. So the maximum height formula, you know, is uy square by 2g, that is 2gh sine square theta by 2g. So that comes out as h sine square theta. So we'll go for option A, nothing else. So it's an easy one, mixing projectile with this theory. Next, if S is stress, Y is Young's modulus, then the energy stored in the wire per unit volume is. So energy stored per unit volume, that is U upon V, is what you write as half stress into strain, if you remember the formula, and strain is stress upon Y, so that is stress square upon 2Y. So we'll go for the option B, S square by 2Y. This is again a standard result. Next, diagram shows a hemispherical shell, okay, of mass m and radius r hinged at point O, where it is, okay, placed on a horizontal surface. A ball of mass m strikes the shell at a point A, as shown in figure, moving with velocity u inclined at angle theta equal to tan inverse half, okay, and then it stops. So for the given shell to reach horizontal surface OP, what minimum speed u is required? Okay, so shell should come here. So first of all, what we will have here, because here if you make out, just look at the diagram, this is clearly being shown like this. So if I say L about O initially is 0, because initial angular momentum is 0, no external torque acts, so final will also be 0, so it is not going to rotate, so it is not going to move here, so it is not going to rotate means it will never come here whatever be the speed, so not possible. So just remember the figure is the biggest hint in this particular question. Next, just remember, like torque of the force like this will be 0. Similarly, this moment of this linear momentum about O is going to be 0. Just remember this. Next, each of the two strings of length this and this are equally tensioned by this force. Mass per unit length is same. When both have vibrate simultaneously in fundamental mode, the number of beats is okay. So what we have, I am assuming both are fixed at both ends, so we know F fundamental is V by 2L. So L is same, we know U is root T by mu upon 2L. So first one, F1 would be root T, that is 20. Mu, if I have to calculate, it would be 1 gram per meter, that is 10 to the power minus 3 kg upon 2L, which is 51.6, or you can write it as 0.516 in SI unit. F2 would be again 20 upon 10 ki power minus 3, 2 into 0.491. So the difference F2 minus F1 you will have here. So if I do this, take this as common, 20 upon 10 to the power minus 3 and upon 2 also common, it is 1 upon 0.516, sorry, reverse I should write, 0.491 minus 1 upon 0.516. So if I do this, 20 upon 10 to the power 3, so what we'll have, 10 to the power 2 into root 2 by 2, and if you do this 0.516 upon this 6115, and we have 11 and 9 2, so it is 0.25 or 0.025 to be precise upon, if I multiplied 0.516 into 0.491, I am getting it. So this will approximately be, now it's not going to be that easy to simplify, but let me try. This would be 2.5 into root 2, which is 1.414 upon 2 into 0.516 into 0.491. So if I do this, approximately if I do this, this is 0.5 into 0.5, it would be 0.25. So it would be 10 times. So 14.14 by 2. So I'm getting it closer to 7. That is I'm going with. So if you do this, this is closer to 7, so it would be 7, and you should be very sure whether it is 7 or 8. So do your calculation. I am sure it's 7. You can do complete. So it's not easy to do that complete one also, because options are again very close. Next, a thin semicircular part has mass m1 and diameter has mass m2. Okay, here axis passing through midpoint of the diameter and axis is perpendicular to plane ABC. Here AOC is R. The MI of this composite system is, so first about of the rod would be, rod has a mass m2 into L square is 2R square by 12 ml square by 12, and that for the ring, you know, it doesn't matter whether it is full or complete, it would be mr square, so it would be m1 r square. So going by this, what you have, m1 r square plus you will have 1 by 3 m2 r square. So again, this is not that tough one, so it comes out as option C here. Next, what you have, a uniform rod, length 8a, mass 6m, lies on a smooth surface. 2 point masses moving in same plane with speed 2v and v respectively strike the rod perpendicular at distance a and 2a from the midpoint in opposite direction and stick to the rod. The angular velocity immediately after, so it's something like this. This is the midpoint. If I take it as O, one strikes at distance a like this. This comes with speed 2v and mass m, and here it would be at 2a, sorry, so draw it here and let me draw it again. It would be 2a, it goes like this. This is v and 2m. So because both are opposite, so angular momentum will add up, and because it's a perfect angular collision, what you will have, L1 initial plus L2 initial would be equal to L system final also, because initially rod is at rest. So the first one angular momentum is 2mv into a, the second one would be 2mv into 2a, that would be equal to L of system. L of system would be ml square by 12, that is 6m into 8a square by 12, plus for the first one it is, for second one we can write, let's say ma square, plus second one we have 2m into 2a whole square, so 2a whole square is 4, that will be at 8ma square into omega. So if you simplify it, this is 32, this is 64 by 2, that is 32, 33, 30, 41 ma square omega, this is 4 and 6 mva. So mm goes, 1 power of a goes, omega comes out as 6v by 41a. So I'll go for option D now. Next one, what we have, for a transistor, alpha DC, beta DC are the current ratios in the value of beta DC minus alpha DC upon OK. So what we know, alpha beta are typically the same here. and the relation is beta is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha. So what we have, beta minus alpha upon alpha beta, that I can directly go. So beta minus alpha beta, you can say, is alpha upon 1 minus alpha into minus alpha upon alpha into beta, which is alpha upon 1 minus alpha. So what you will have, this will get cancelled, this would be alpha minus alpha plus alpha square upon alpha square, so it is 1. So this ratio is going to be 1 here, because this is alpha and beta are the relation that you can go for. Next, the combination of NAND gates shown here in the figure give output C and C dash, they are equivalent to. So if you directly remember, this is A and B, this is NAND and this is inverted, so that definitely it is going to be AND gate, because this acts basically as NOT gate, this was NAND, NOT of NAND is AND gate. So the second option is AND gate, from there only you can go for option A. And if you check, the first one is also OR gate, that's a standard one. You know, NAND and NOR are universal gate, so you should remember how to get all the gates from NAND and NOR. So if you remember that, you can directly remember the picture. Next, you have a closed gas cylinder divided into two parts by a piston held tight. Pressure and volume are like this. If now the piston is left free and system undergoes the isothermal process, and the volume of the gas in the two parts respectively is, okay, so the system undergoes the isothermal process, the volume of the gas in the two parts are going to be, because it undergoes an isothermal process, first of all left free, so it will settle when the P1 would be equal to P2 for sure, that is for sure. So P1 will be equal to P2. Now how to do this? So final pressures are same, so P1 is P2 and the system you say is isothermal. Because it is isothermal, what you can do, you can say the final pressure here, whatever would be, let's say final would be, let's say V1 and V2 are the volumes. So V1 and V2, if you go the volume, let V1 be 5V plus X, so V2 would be equals to V minus X, something like that. Or it should be reversed, because its pressure has to increase, so volume will decrease. Do it like this. Now because it's an isothermal one, what you can write, P into 5V would be equal to this final pressure, let's say P final, I should write P final into 5V minus X, and 10P into V would be equals to what we'll have, P final into V plus X. So this is what we are getting. So what we are left with, the volume of the two parts I need to find out. So if I need to find out, what I can say, this is 5 PV, this is 10 PV, so I can directly say P final into V plus X is equal to twice of P final into 5V minus X. So this goes, so V plus X is 10V minus 2X, so what we have, 3X is 9V, so X is equal to 3V. That means the final volume is 2V and 4V that I can go for. So 2V and 4V, so go for option C here. So again a nice one, just do what is written in the question. Next, you have a substance of mass, this occupies this much volume, the density of the substance with correct number of significant figures, because there are two, we are dividing it, so final will also have two significant figures, so it can be only be 3.3, no point in guessing now. Next, the angle between pass axis of a polarizer and analyzer is 45, the percentage of light passed through. So what we will have, I would be I naught cos square 45. So cos square 45 means it is I naught by 2, so 50% is passed, 50% is left, you can say absorbed. Next, the diffraction pattern of a single slit is shown in figure. The point at which the path difference of the extreme rays is 2 times the wavelength. Okay, so what we know, this between this and center, this is equal to what you can say pi when we talk of first minima. That means in that case this is 2 pi, or you can say this is lambda. So definitely it would be for the second minima. Second minima you can go for is 5, so it would be 0.5 in this particular case. You can directly go from that derivation sort of thing, not exact derivation but the explanation to find the minima that you do. Two strings 80 and 6x centimeter are used separately in a sonometer. Ratio of density is 0.81, diameter of B is 1/2 of A. Strings have same tension, fundamental frequency, then the value of x is, again this is a repeated one, we have done such. So what we have, they have the same tension and fundamental frequency. Fundamental frequency you know is equals to V by 2L, that you write as root of T by mu. Mu is rho times A upon 2L, or you can write it as root T by rho and area, so we can say F is proportional to T by rho, and area, if I take a radius common, so it would be R square L, so it would be RL. Now strings have same tension, same fundamental frequency, so what basically you have, rho R square L is constant. So what we will have, rho A RA square LA is equal to rho B RB square LB. So what we have, the fundamental frequency value of X is, that is LB would be LA into rho A by rho B into RA by RB whole square. So L of A is 80, rho A by rho B, that is 0.81, and RA by RB, and diameter of B is 1/2, so RA by RB would be 4. So it would be 80, it would be 4. Okay, it should be 4, that is what I am getting, and this would be L square. I am doing a mistake, so it would be LB square, you can write right now. So this would be 80 square, or take the root in the next step, that would be easy for me. So LB would be 80 into root of 0.81 into 4, both are perfect square, so 80 into 0.9 into 2, so 80 into 1.8, or 80 into 18, 18 8s, you have 144. So go for option C here. Next, now the two last questions. Ratio of velocity of sound in hydrogen to that in helium at the same temperature. So the sound speed is gamma RT by M. So at same temperature, so V in hydrogen to V in helium, that would be gamma of hydrogen, that you write as, so both are, hydrogen is dia, so it is 7 by 5, it is 5 by 3, the ratio of molar mass, that is 4:2. So what we have now, 7 into 4 into 3 upon 5 into 5 into 2, so this is 21 into 42 by 25, so it is root of 42 by 5. So go for option C here, you are getting exact one. Next, last now, you have a 200 watt sodium street lamp emitting yellow light of this wavelength, assuming 25% efficient in converting energy to light. Number of photons emitted per second is, so the efficiency is 25%, that means 50 watt, 50 joule per second is emitted, that would be equal to n times energy of 1, which is 1240 upon 0.6 micrometers, that is in nanometer, you will write it as 600. This is in EV, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, so n would be 50 into 600 upon 1240 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, so this goes, this is 10 to the power 20 into 6 5s are 30, I have taken 1 0 here, that is 124 into 1.6. So what we are, this is 10, this is not 10, let's say this is 15, this is what we have, 62. So 15 upon 16, this is 32, 16 6 are 96, this is 99.2 into 10 to the power 20. So approximately it is 1.5 into 10 to the power 19. No, it is not coming like this. This is, oh, I have done something wrong. No, I haven't done something wrong. It is 10 to the power 20 into 15, that is I am getting. So it is 1.5. Again, there is some power issue. Let me check it again. So this is 1920, this is 300. Okay, this is 15 to 6, so it would be 300. I have done this wrong, so this is 150. So now this is perfectly 1.5 into 10 to the power 20. So this was today's paper. Thanks for watching. Keep sharing the channel.